it appears as if, for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Leafs pushed the eventual Cup finalists to 7 in the series in which they played them. 2019 against Boston, 21 against the Habs, 22 against Tampa, now this year against Florida. We haven't had you on since, you saw it, the debacle, the Game 7 debacle, the way they played, the aftermath. Now Shanahan's out. When you see what Florida's doing at Carolina, does it change your impression at all? Where do you stand on the Leafs a week removed from what we witnessed?
No, it doesn't change it because you can only play who you're playing, right? And like they have the unfortunate circumstance of being in the same division as those guys. And so that's just the way it is. If you say you weren't and you got through this round and you had to play them in the next round, well, that's like it's just the way it is. I mean, I think we talked enough this year. Like I thought they were a different team, a better equipped team, and maybe in some ways they were to do well in the playoffs. Unfortunately, you can't make the other guys not try. They're better. They're the best team. Like as a team, they are the best. Like do they not look? I mean, a week might tell you a different story, but right now they look unstoppable.
Mm.
Right.
They're like a steamroller, and so I do think though, if you chase what other teams are, it's a race you can never win.
No.
Like if you're looking at Florida and saying we've got to change our team so we can beat Florida, well, what if you make a bunch of changes and then Florida loses next year somehow or whatever happens, and now you're playing somebody else and you're not equipped to play them? I think you just build the best team you can. You put together the most balanced team that you can possibly put together. You hope you're healthy, and you run that. Because if you're chasing somebody else, you'll never have the same players. You could get someone that looks like Barkov, that has the same number of points, the same size, but he's not Barkov. Right? Like you can't replicate players. You can kind of get close to them, but if you're chasing them, I think you always lose. It's not, you can have a goal about, hey, we want to get closer to this or that in the way we structure our team, but it really does. I mean, it doesn't make me think of the Leafs any different other than they just couldn't quite. They had 2 chances. It's not Game 7. They had 2 chances really, and they fell flat on their face at home both times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Game 5, you take control again. You're up 3-2, and they didn't do that. And then we know what happened in Game 7. And I'm sure you're not surprised. The Shanahan news came down. I think everyone was kind of anticipating that. But to your point, about chasing Florida, here it feels like a foregone conclusion. Marner's going to leave. It feels that way. I'm not 100% convinced that's going to happen, but it feels that way. Feels like Tavares is going to return, and yet it's now the Sam Bennett show. Maybe you got to get Ekblad. Can you bring Marchand up here? Like that's kind of what people in Toronto want to see is basically go pluck from Florida and see if you could do it again next year.
Yeah, well, maybe they could get Forsling too.
Yes, that would be great, and Bob.
Yeah, Bob. I mean, while you're working away at the thing.
Yeah.
I think this year is primed to be a late June, early July trade-a-thon, because there's not a lot of free agents that Sam Bennett's going to sit there and I think people need to remember when they're signing him to a $8, $9, $10 million contract, whatever he's going to get, and man, I'd want him on my team, but he's not a 40-goal guy, and sometimes you're best in the place that you already are. Like if Sam Bennett comes to a different team, is he going to fit the same way? Probably, but what if he doesn't? What if you're looking for something he's not really able to deliver? So there's very few centers. There's, a marginal class, I would say, of free agents. And so I think with so many teams trying to make a step, make a change, that we're primed to see some really interesting trades this summer. I think that's where the action's going to be, not so much the free agents. Of course, Bennett and Ekblad are free agents, and if they're not going back there, well, there's going to be 2 teams that are, or one team, if somebody can figure it all out, that would be really happy to get them. But they might not be the same players. Like that team in Florida, to me, looks like everybody's slotted exactly where they should be.
Yeah.
Do you think?
And that's a rarity.
Do you think that could apply to Marner? In other words, he goes somewhere else, and it's not the same. I mean, he's been riding with Matthews and Tavares, and that power play stacked. You think there's a chance he looks or feels different somewhere else?
Oh, I don't see how he wouldn't. I mean, the whole circumstance, if he goes somewhere else, will be different, right? The external, the external expectations, the familiarity wherever he goes, it won't be there, both for him and for the city that he might be in. I think a lot changes for him. It'll be really weird and really odd for him if he's in a different jersey, but there's probably, if he does decide to go that way or already has decided whatever it is, there'll be part of it will be that it'll be pretty freeing for somebody that's that good that could make that much of a difference somewhere else.
So just piggybacking that, if Marner, we talk about Marner leaving. I remember having this argument with Steve Kouleas years ago on That's Hockey Tonight, and I just wanted to apply it here. Because when Marty St. Louis left Tampa, I remember saying to him, Steven Stamkos will never get 60 again. Because Stamkos got unbelievable passes from St. Louis. How much of a trickle-down effect Marner leaving would have on Matthews' production potentially?
Well, it depends what they fill it with, right?
Right.
Because don't forget, eventually, when Marty left, that opened the door for Kucherov.
Right.
And in that power play thing. So all of a sudden you got a pretty damn good guy giving him the puck. Like what if you find somebody that fits there? Like maybe he's not the same. Maybe they play a little different style. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just a change. Like those guys became joined at the hip, and in a lot of cases it's hard to even imagine somebody else being there. Except it happens almost all the time to almost every player. Like very few guys play their whole career or with the same line mates or the same D pair. It just doesn't happen. Even Gretz was with Curry forever, and then he went to LA and all of a sudden Bernie Nichols had 70 goals. Like somebody else is going to be the beneficiary of that. If Marner goes somewhere else, I'm whoever he's going to play with is going to find the puck on his stick a lot that probably hasn't been used to getting it there. And maybe Matthews, I'd still like to know whatever was going on with him this year, because that didn't look right.
Right.
For him. Like when I look at Matthews, I think like he didn't skate the same. He didn't have the same pace to his game, and the numbers weren't the same. Like it just didn't look right. And maybe a change is best for all. Like, like a new line mate, a new look at things. Like maybe it is best, but it's hard to walk away from 100 points. But man, eventually you don't win. And if the goal is that they're to win, which Keith Pelley said pretty clearly, that's the goal. That at some point there's got to be a change. You can't keep saying, oh,